birds are singing, skies are blue. The world's awake, it's time for you. Start it right, you know it's true. Anson in the morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Anson in the Morning. I'm Anson. It's morning and we're together. I'm gonna lie, I didn't start the day with a full cup of coffee. I've already had a cup, so I couldn't wait. I tried. Uh, it's good to see you guys. I got a good response from the first show that we did, so thank you guys for tuning in and watching. That means a lot to me. That you find this silly little life that I've had so interesting. So thank you guys. Let's get the business stuff out of the way. Like, follow, subscribe. You can find everything that we do at where's it at here? I still got to learn this thing. I'm working on it. Right there. Uh, at the PNS Studio, it says down there. So go check us out. You can watch Behind the Pint. You can watch the Fat and Spicy show. We had a great show last week. Come and check it out. That was our last Tuesday show. We've got Three Wise Men. I think they're going to do a show today here on the PNS Studios network. So be sure to check that out. And the hits are going to keep on coming. We're working on something with D&D. I don't know where we're going with that yet, but anyway, like I said, let's get. Oh, it's warm in here. I went outside to walk the dog and I forgot to take my jacket off. So give me a second here, huh? All right, there we go. It's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in here, huh? We're gonna get comfy, take our shoes off. No, we're not gonna do that. Okay, so as you see by the title, all right, let's see if that works. There we go. This week we're going to talk about gambling. So I'm still learning the studio. Everything gets bumped and moved and whatever. Um, Gambling's been a big part of my life. I've grown up around it. I still do it. I love doing it. But we're going to talk about all the different aspects of it in my life and how it got started and how I feel about it today as a 48-year-old dude who got started in the fourth grade. So here we go. Uh, my first introduction to gambling was playing cards with my grandparents, my parents, because back in the days, we didn't have computers, we didn't have any of that. It was just all, you know, analog stuff. So we'd play cards, we'd play hearts, we'd play spades, we'd play blackjack and poker. And grandma taught me how to play poker. And it was just 5 card draw at the time, and me and my cousins would sit around with grandma when it was all everybody was together and whatnot. And I mean, every house had a card table back then. It was just what you do. And I got used to it, and I actually got kinda good at it, and it wasn't because I was some, card genius. It was I was surrounded by people who showed me how to play. "You do this, you do that." "No, no, 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 no. Don't throw 4 cards away. If you have to throw 4 cards away in 5-card draw, you fold." I'm learning this, at a very young age, so when I see these people in movies and stuff doing this, it drives me crazy, right? I'm gonna take, "Give me 4." Shut up, just fold." Uh, but my first real expose at solid gambling came when I was in the 4th grade. My cousin Tyler was living with us at the time, and he was like a little brother to me. I love Tyler. Tyler, man, if you're out there, dude, reach out, man. We had some good times as kids. So my parents got it up in their brains that they were going to go to Circus in it wasn't Vegas, it was Reno. So Reno was a big spot for us, not Vegas. Which I like Reno too, but let's get into it. So I remember being in Reno with my dad's and my cousin, and Daddy used to. It was Dad and Daddy. Daddy used to take a long time in the bathroom getting ready. It was just his thing, right? Like so, in the mornings, me and Dad would just be bored. We'd go downstairs and get a little something to eat at the casino, Circus, while Daddy's up in the room getting ready. Tyler's sleeping, and Dad would put $10 into a slot machine. Now, this is back in the day when the coins came out. Ding, 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 ding. That was cool. I miss those days. Now it's just tickets, and it doesn't feel real, right? We're going to get into slots here soon, but let's continue with the story. Dad was downstairs, and we sat by one of the back entrances, and he ordered himself a little morning drink. No big deal. I remember he did. I don't remember. Maybe. 'Cause I thought he had a drink in his. Anyway, I'm going off here. Uh, and he let me pull the handle, and it was a dime machine, because I remember it would spit out dimes when you win. And he'd do his little bet or whatever, and he's like, pull the handle, and I'd pull that handle, and that every click of that handle goes, and it's just multiple clicks as you pull it down, and then the final chunk. There was something about that final chunk of that handle, and those wheels start spinning, and the lights are going, and your eyes are, it was mesmerizing, absolutely mesmerizing. And then, um, so Vegas was a great time. I'll tell you one quick story about Vegas that I loved, and it doesn't have to do with gambling, but my dad or daddy was like, you and your cousin go downstairs to the circus because Circus had this it was like free circus acts all day, clowns and trapeze artists and all. It was a circus, and the casino was somewhere else. But there was also a game arcade there, and circus games and video games and all that kind of carnival games. So we would go down there, and I remember one morning, man, I felt like the biggest big shot in the world. Daddy gave me $100 chip. And there was a change lady that would walk around the circus floor giving change out for whatever games, whatever. And I'll never forget fourth grade. How old was I in the fourth grade? I don't even remember. 11, 10, 12? I don't, whatever. Uh, I handed this change lady $100 chip, and her eyes were like, but she didn't say anything. She gave me my change, and me and my cousin Tyler circused it up. We watched the trapeze. We won stupid little stuffies from the games. I remember we spent hours up there at the video game arcade. I mean, two kids at that age with $100 in your pocket, we felt like the richest guys in the casino. What do you know that $100 when you're that age? Except for it buys a shit ton of video games, arcade plays and whatnot. So here I am, fourth grade, getting a taste of casino life right away. And it was fascinating. Like, here I am in the middle of it, and there's adults walking around. I've got more money in my pocket than some of these loser adults that are gambling, having the time of my life. And then we'd go eat at the best restaurants because Dad and Daddy had a little bit of money back then. We could take these trips, we could do cool stuff like that. And we'd always go somewhere nice. I remember though, we didn't fly to Reno. We drove a van down. It was like a luxury van. I shit you not. There was a TV, a VCR, a refrigerator that never worked. There was a sink that you had to fill up with a bucket of water, and then you pump the water through the thing. But it was a luxury van, captain seats in the front, plush. Everybody remembers. I think if GB's watching, you got to remember the family wagon. Anyway, we drove down there and back, and that was it was a great trip, and it stuck in my mind so hard that I just started becoming used to that casino lifestyle. So here we are at 13. No, no, we'll skip. We'll go back a little bit. Not 13. I read all my notes out. Like I got the whole show written right here. Um, where was I going with that? Oh, grandma, Grandma Bertha, daddy's mom, loved the dog races. And Portland had a great dog track, Multnomah Kennel Club, I believe it was called, MKC. And you could go in there as an infant. It didn't matter as long as you're not betting, you know what I mean? But grandma would show me how to pick the dogs. And I always thought she was picking them on the number or like, oh, that dog's so pretty. Go bet on this one. No, she knew how to read those forms and she was in there doing the stuff. And this lady was lucky. When she won, she won. When she didn't, I mean, which was often, but when she won big. We'll go into the casino stuff later with grandma. No shit. Uh, and here I am as a kid picking dogs. And then we started going to Portland Meadows, and it was horses. Oh, baby, love them horses. More than the dogs because you had a jockey and a horse. You had so many other factors other than can this dog run? If the jockey wasn't feeling it, if he didn't move the horse to the horse to the right position, all the stuff that goes into horse racing, all the little minutia details that I learned later in life made a factor. So dogs quickly fell out of favor with me, and Dad and Daddy would take me to the horse races. Not very often, but we'd go to Portland Meadows enough. And I just remember the feeling of picking an exacta when you're a kid and winning and hitting, and all of that. Daddy would ask me, "What horse do you think?" And I don't know, number 6. 6 was always my favorite horse number for some reason, not anymore. Uh, I don't have a favorite horse number, but it was a thing. And then when that 6 or when that exacta came in, it was a celebration, and everybody was happy, and I felt great. So we were doing the horse races a lot. And then dad and daddy would leave me at home on Friday nights and they'd go out and I think they went to bingo or a casino or something. I don't know, but I think it was a gambling thing because they always came home smelling heavy of smoke. I don't know. Um, that was something later on in life that I, as a smoker, even I came to detest. But here we go. At 13 years old, we had a park in Portland called Oaks Amusement Park, and it was a little amusement park. It was like Disneyland Super Duper Junior. Had a roller coaster, bumper cars, few amusements, whatever. But it also had a roller rink, which is very famous, and it had a bingo hall. And I think it was Wednesday nights and Sunday afternoons they had bingo. And there was a guy that owned it or ran it. His name was Dick, and Dick would call bingo. Him and his wife and a few other people would call bingo numbers, and you only had to be 13 to go in and play bingo. So it was me, dad, and daddy sitting there at 13, and I'm daubing numbers. And I'll tell you the truth, I actually started winning. That was the first taste of me winning myself that I could keep the winnings because I wasn't underage gambling. Uh, was playing bingo, and I remember these old ladies bitching. She was, he can't win. He's a kid. We've been here for years. And he's like, the guy at the thing was like, hey, if he loses, we take his money. If he wins, we give him money. It says you got to be 13 to play. The kid's 13. Now sit down and play bingo. And man, I love that guy. I mean, I was like, yeah, all right. And I told myself, I'm going to win the next hand just to shut these old ladies up. And I didn't win, but it was still freaking fun. So I did a lot of bingo play. We'd go every Sunday. And then I remember we'd play the whole session, and then they always had the late games. And the late games, you'd pay a little extra, and they went for about an hour afterwards if you didn't have anywhere to go. And dad would give me a couple bucks, and I'd go out to the Oaks Amusement Park because it was right there. It was in the same lot. So they'd play the late games. I'd go out to the arcades and the rides, and I'd do all that stuff and just spend some time. And again, where's the negativity in gambling there for me? I never had a bad experience so far. Everything I've done has been my parents cheered when I won. Other people hated it when I lost, which surprisingly made me feel really good. So, and I'm living the high life. I go to Reno and I'm running around with $100 in my pocket, and there. So, what I'm getting at is how this casino and gambling lifestyle got ingrained in me, and I'm just realizing as we're speaking through this stream of consciousness what it was that made me so apt to gambling. So here we go. Uh, Played bingo for quite a while. Where's my coffee? There it is. Played until I was 18. So that's what 6 years of Oaks Amusement Park. That was my gambling and winning and losing and whatever. Learning how to lose and learning that you lost this round of bingo, but there's another round coming. So shut up and focus and get back to work. That was kind of how I felt, and that's why I see people who gamble today and they lose. And they're like, "Oh man, I lost." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're gonna make another bet in a minute. So chill out. You might win, right? You might not. You might. Who knows?" So, like I said, no negative impact in my life from gambling so far up until I'm 18. And then Washington State in La Center, Washington had these card rooms. Now, at 18, these places were shady. They weren't making a lot of money. I remember there was one place that had a concrete floor, it had tin walls, a couple of fluorescent lights, and dealers and blackjack and poker. That's it. Blackjack and poker was all they had. And they had a bar. And my folks would give me $100 and I'd go up there and I'd lose it. But I'm learning slowly, little by little, hand by hand, loss by loss. I'm learning the rules. I'm listening to the people around me. I'm watching the hands and what they do because my parents loved it when I won. So, God damn it, I'm going to win and I'm going to learn how to win and I'm going to do it right. But that's what I told myself. I mean, it didn't happen. So, I'm in these card rooms, and like I said, learning, little by little. I'm seeing the hands, I'm seeing the dealers, I'm getting to know the dealers. The dealers are helping me a little bit as much as they can without getting in trouble from the house. So at 18, I'm making a few bucks gambling. Uh, they were shady, but they were super fun. I'll never forget. One of my rookie moves was we were playing blackjack, and I saw somebody put a dollar chip above their bet, and I said, "What's that?" And they go, "That's a tip for the dealer." I'm like, "Okay." So I put a dollar up there. And my regular bet, $5 or whatever, was down below. And I won the hand. So they gave me $5 and they put $1 next to my chip as a payoff because I'm gambling with the house for the dealer. I didn't know this. What do? I pick up my bet. I pick up those two bets. I put them back in my stack. I continue to play. It wasn't until after that I was done gambling that this lady took me aside and she goes, those chips that were up there, those are for the dealer. That's their tip. They're gambling with you. I'm like, oh, I'm such a schmuck. I shit you not. I went back and I gave that dealer $10. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Somebody set me straight. I'm kind of learning. And I think I gained respect because those people around that little casino, that little card room in Washington, that shady fucking card room in Washington, really came to my rescue and helped me out. It taught me a lot. Uh, and then you see the movies, Rounders. Rounders comes out around that time. Worst thing that could have happened because I quickly ditched the blackjack and something I was actually doing well at, and I went to go play poker. Man, I got cleaned out night after night after night after because it was all these old fuckers that they never saw Rounders. They've been playing Texas Hold'em since the goddamn 70s with each other, so they all know each other. They all know how each other plays. And then here this schmuck comes in. I sit down and they're like fresh meat, piranhas in the pool waiting for new blood. And I would get eaten alive. I remember when we were 21, I went to Reno and I'm sitting at a poker table and these guys are cleaning me out. I think I bought in for 300. Yeah. And less than an hour. They just whittled me down to nothing. In the last hand, first thing out, I got pocket aces. I look at them aces and my heart jumps, and I'm sure they all saw it because I didn't know about tells or none of that shit back then. And I lost the hand to a flush or something. I don't remember what the beat was, but I remember as I was walking out, the casino, the poker room manager stopped me like, "Hey, come here," and he handed me a $50 bill, and he goes, "You get $50 and your aces are cracked." No, you don't. I think he felt bad for me, and I think he knew that I got cleaned out pretty good by these guys. Um, so he hooked me up, and for that, I always appreciated that guy because that's when I realized, like walking back to wherever I was going in the casino, I remember thinking, did I just get played and that guy bailed me out? Yeah, that's exactly what he did. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. So I learned if you're going to sit at these tables, you really got to know what you're doing. So I started watching TV and back then the World Series of Poker wasn't a big deal. I mean, it wasn't huge like it was. It wasn't these big $1 billion pots or whatever they got. And Chris Moneymaker wasn't this nobody who won these tournaments. It was still just casino card room stuff, games that you played if you thought you were good enough and lost all your money. So I started watching TV, watching the World Series. The internet was just getting big then, so I started reading a lot about poker. And surprisingly, in the early days of poker, there was a lot to know about in the early days of the internet. There was a lot to know about poker. I mean, rules, strategies, tells, hides, stacks, how you just pot odds, which is something I know that the best poker players in the world can calculate their pot odds and look at the table and know where their money is and the percentage of what they're putting in versus what they pull, blah, 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 blah. I've never been able to do that. I am not a mathematician. What I go by on is I watch the other people at the table. That's my tactic. I watch their eyes. If they look at their cards, if they look at the cards, I read this in a book. They look at the cards and they look right at their chips. They're wondering how much do they have to invest into those cards. And then you got to know how they've bet before by watching the table to know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Let me turn this banner off. It's pissing me off. There we go. So poker kind of got me into trouble. I was playing a lot, and then I started playing online. And online poker, it's not the same. It's not it's kind of like now people will disagree with me, but I've always felt it's like playing video poker. Like you can't read people. The only thing you get to go on is by how their bets roll. And you have to monitor those numbers, that monies across all those hands to know how that guy bets. And I'm not good at that. I'm like, if I got a shot at the pot, my cards are good, and this guy's not betting, I'm gonna go a little heavy. I'm not very aggressive, but when I got a good hand, I get aggressive. Maybe that's a tell. I don't know. So let's keep rolling here on my life of casinos. So here we go. I'm living with my parents until I'm about 19, 20. And it's almost every weekend we're going up to the center. We're going to the card rooms. And then slowly these card rooms get nicer and nicer because they're making money and they're renovating. And now I'm actually feeling good about being here. It's like, it's nice. It's plush. Look at these cushiony seats and free buffet for all the blackjack players and all blah, 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 blah. Getting free dinners. And I knew some of the pit bosses. It was great. Again, no negatives to blackjack because I wasn't even playing with my own money. I had my parents were giving me money to go gamble when they went up there. So how great is that? So once again, here I am, 19, 20, 21, and a couple. I think we did one other trip at 21. We did another trip to Reno, but again, no negatives to gambling. It was always positive for me. You know, being friends with the dealers, pit bosses, even the customers. I'd go up to a blackjack table. They knew me. Anson, how you doing? Good, buddy. How you doing? You know, it was great. And then I turned 21, and now I'm able to go to Spirit Mountain Casino, which is our big Indian casino, not too far from Portland. I think it's about an hour drive, hour and a couple minutes. This place was nice. Even when it wasn't nice, it was still nice because it was the biggest casino aside from Reno that I'd been in. This place was great. Had table games, it had roulette, blackjack, stuff we didn't have in the card rooms. You know, the circus games, the big six wheel, craps. Oh, craps. We're gonna talk about some craps. And that was it. My eyes lit up, all the lights, all the noises, the jackpots going off. Ding, 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 and people shouting at the craps table and somebody hits a point or something. You know, it was just my head exploded. And that was it. I told myself, this is the life I want to lead, the life of a high roller gambler who wins or loses money on the roll of the dice, but has a great time doing it because I'm living this great lifestyle. Casinos are giving me shit. I get dinner from the casinos all the time. I don't think I ever paid for maybe once or twice paid for a meal when me and Frank or me and my parents went up to La Center. They were always treated because we dropped a lot of money. And we won and we lost. And sometimes I'd walk out of there a couple $100 up. Sometimes I'd walk out of there with nothing. But again, whatever. So 21, I'm learning the games. I'm having a lot of fun. Grandma comes up to the casino. We do like Thanksgiving. We used to do Thanksgiving at the casinos. So we'd all get together, go have Thanksgiving dinner, and then go down to the floor and gamble. And I'll never forget one night I'm watching the horse races. I'm in the horse room, and grandma's at the roulette table winning. She used to bet $25 chips on a number, and they'd hit and they'd hit and they'd hit. And then she'd put $50 on that number, and somebody would tell her, "Hey, Bertha, you sure you want to do that?" And she's like, "Don't you tell me what to bet." And so they started calling her the general. I love that. And grandma was the general. So one day I'm at the horse room and I'm betting some horses and I won one. Wasn't much. I think I put $5 on a 3-1 or something. So I won $15. And I go to tell grandma because I was excited. I was like, "Grandma, I won $15." And she hands me $20 and she goes, "Go put this on the six in the next race." Didn't see the freaking whatever, the racing form, didn't know the horse, didn't know the track, nothing. Just blindly. Six horse next race, $20. That freaking thing was 20-1. And it won. This is how lucky this lady was. The horse came in. Can you believe that shit? At 20-1 on $20. So $400. I mean, just like no. Was it four? No, it was yeah. What's 20 times 20? It's 400. 480. No, 400. And then her 20 back. So 420 total. I've never seen anything like it. That's how lucky she was. She, like I said, and she was great on roulette. I don't know why, but she had the power supreme to know those numbers because she'd walk back with stacks of stacks. I remember her putting money on a number, and they handed her a big old rack of roulette chips because they all had to be the same color for the table, and then a stack of 25s on top. I'm like, what? She's like, I hit again. Like, yeah, you did. At some point, they just had to start paying her in money chips because they were out of her roulette color. Nuts, these people. So again, no downside for me, right? I'm always playing with other people's money. Never once have I gambled, maybe once or twice I'd go up there with some friends or something, but never really on my own money. Uh, and then we go to Reno. I think I was 21 or 22 with my parents, and we go to the Silver Legacy in Reno. And it was probably one of the plushest casinos I've ever been in. And it's kind of cool because in the middle of the casino, they got like this great big silver mine rig. And they'll do light shows where like the lightning will hit the tower and it'll light up and it's really neat. But the actual casino itself, the baccarat tables, everything, they had the nice big lamps, and it was just for the time it was super plush and I loved it. So here I am, I think 21 or 22 in Reno, nice place, got a couple $100 in my pocket, and I go with my dad to the high stakes slot room. Now, you can go to the slots all over the floor, and they'll walk up to you for a drink every whatever 30 minutes, 40 minutes. In the high stakes slot room, there was an all the time attendant. There was a room where you can go around the corner, get away from the slots for a minute, have nuts and chips and little finger Sammies and whatever, free drinks. So dad and I go into the high slots room. And I remember putting in, I think I put in $100 into a $10 slot machine. And it was like 3 spins in. So $30 down, I hit it 3 bar, 3 bar, 3 bar, $250 in $1 coins. So, and these are like $1 silver tokens. And it's spitting out 250. Ding, 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 ding. The lady brings me over a chip rack, and 250, I believe, are exact 221. Yeah, so 2.5 chip racks full of silver gold coins or silver casino coins. And I'm just like, the first thing this lady does after I win is she comes over and she goes, "Would you like something to drink? Would you like a sandwich? Would you like anything?" Because she knows I'm there for the long haul. They want their 250 back right away. Well, I win again. I think I hit like another 300 and then another 200 and then another 100. Like I couldn't stop. I was on the right machine in the right room at the right time. People were coming and going, but here I am sitting there just playing this machine and winning. And what my parents don't know is the bartender came over and she goes, "Is there anything I can get you?" They were on the other side of the casino. I don't think they even knew I was in there still. And I was like, "I would love a cigar." And she brought me this nice, I'm sure it was cheap. I didn't know cigars at the time. She brought me this nice cigar and she cut it and then I lit it with, and I sat there and smoking a cigar, winning and winning and winning. I couldn't stop. And then finally I start to go on this little downtrend in the slot machine. My at one point I think I had like 7 or 8 rack. I had to go change some of them in for hundreds because I had too many. And so she's giving me money back and I'm sitting there playing and I was like, I'm starting to lose. I'm going to play the rest of this stack and I'm going to go wander the casino. So I start wandering the casino and I come across the Baccarat table. And I've never played it before in my life. But people have a lot of money sitting there. I'm talking like I've seen black chips. I've never seen lavender colored chips. And these were 500s. And they're sitting there betting 3, 4, 5 of them at a time. I'm like, what is this game? Then there's other people at the table with, 10, $15 bets, $10 bets. I think the table minimum was $10. What do I care? I got a bunch of money. So I throw like 500 on the table. Like, bring me in. Let me learn this fucking game. All these guys are making money. They're having a good time. I sit down and she kind of explains it to me real quick. And there's a big old loud motherfucker sitting next to me. This guy. We're going to talk about this guy right now. I can't tell you what he looked like. Again, this was 40 or 27 years ago, but there's this guy. And I do remember the hat. And I'm like, first off, I already knew what kind of an asshole wears a hat inside. I don't care who you are. Take your hat off, motherfucker. And he's putting his money on bank. So I put my money on banker. And the cards come out. And because he's got the biggest bet on the table, they give him the cards. And then whoever's got the biggest bet on player, they get to open their cards. So 2 cards face down. I'm not going to explain the rules, but he gets his 2 cards and he tears the corner off the cards. I'm like, who's this guy tearing cards? You can't do that in a casino. No, he tore the corner off. Nobody gave a shit. And he threw it down in front of the guy who was player, and it was an 8. And he goes, "I'll show you the next card." And he ripped the card in half and threw it on the table. It was a king, naturally. The other guy opens his cards, nothing. Nothing guy, I think it's 7-6, whatever. He drew another card that didn't work. And this guy was like, "Told you to bet on banker. I told you to bet on." And I'm like, "Who are you, dude?" I didn't say nothing. I'm too young. I don't know anything. And I'm like, "Shut up. Why are you being like this?" And then you learn the world of the loud gamblers. God, I hate these guys. I like to sit even if it's craps, unless something good's going and the table's all together on hitting points and stuff, not a loud gambler. Honestly, I talk more than 6 barbers here on the show, and probably in real life, people just think I yap at the mouth. But when I'm gambling, I'm really in my head. And I try not to talk to, I don't really want to know the people at the table because most of them play wrong anyway, playing blackjack. And yes, there is a wrong way to play. Don't let them fool you. So I'm sitting at the baccarat table and this guy is just going nuts. So everybody kind of leaves. They're winning and losing. So the table kind of clears out, but it's me and this asshole and maybe one other guy. And I just ordered a drink. So I didn't want to get up and leave. And I put my money on player. He goes, "You sure you want to do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He puts his money on banker. He goes, "All right, I'll bet against you." This guy with the tearing of the cards and the yelling and I told you to put it on player or whatever it was, dude. I took my money and I got up. I threw the dealer, I think it was like 20 bucks, a couple of chips, and I'm like, thank you very much. And I didn't make any money. I didn't lose any money. Baccarat's kind of an even game. But I'll never forget that was the last time I ever played Baccarat at that table because people like that, why you got to be that guy? Do you think the casinos appreciate that? Yeah, you may be betting $500 a chip, but if you have six other people at the table, you can make a couple thousand off of everybody. You're not cool, dude. Nobody likes you. Sorry, I get off on these guys because I see them everywhere. I see them here at this little casino that we have in this town. Most of them are tourists. They come during the touristy seasons. They get drunk. They get belligerent. They piss everybody off. Everybody leaves the tables, and the casinos fucking know it. But they cater these guys, and I don't know why. They're not that important. Please just have security come over, sir. Be quiet and leave because there's 15 other people in the casino. This guy's bothering that don't want to gamble there anymore. So we talked about the high roller slots. We talked about the baccarat. Now we're going to talk about when gambling became an issue. My roommate and I, Frank, we lived together for a long time. We were the best buddies. We went. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks, GB. I got to talk about that. We used to go on. We'd get paid and we'd buy a little tiny bit of weed and we'd just get a little buzz and we'd drive down to a casino and we'd play for as long as we could. We've gone to casinos in the middle of Washington, all the way down to Chinook Winds, I think it was, in Lincoln City. So one night, I tell Frank, "Hey man, why don't we go to the casino? Let's go to the center. It's in Washington. It's furthest one up." Hold on, guys. And of course, Frank, being the best friend that he is, he's like, "Let." I think I got it from a movie. I was like, "Let's go." He's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "No." I was like, "I'll drive." He goes, "Okay." He ended up driving. He always drove, and I love that about him because I used to like to drink. So he drives us up to La Center, Washington, and we go to one of the casinos, and we played for a couple of hours, and we did pretty good. Like I think we were actually winning. And the night goes on. It's not too late yet. It's probably, I don't know, 10, 11. And I tell Frank, "Hey man, what if we went to Spirit Mountain Casino right now? Just drove from here to there." Frank's like, "Okay." So we're already a little tired because it's getting kind of late. And we're driving down to Spirit Mountain Casino. We go there, and I think we were there for a couple of hours, and I don't think we were winning. I think that was the problem. We weren't doing well there. And so we were there, I don't remember how long we were there, a couple hours. So I tell Frank, I'm like, "Man, this is not good. Maybe we should go." He's like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." And I think we were walking out. If I remember the story right, GB, correct me. But I tell Frank, I was like, "Hey, man, what if we went to Chinook Winds? It's only another hour drive and gamble all night and see if our luck changes." He's like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go." So we do. We drive down. Now, here's the fun part of the story, right? We're driving down. Frank's driving. And I want to say I had my Mustang at the time. I had a 2000 Mustang, black, beautiful car. God, beautiful car. First brand new car I ever owned, like off the lot, 4 miles on it, but it was a stick shift. I'd never driven a stick, so I had to learn how to do that. So Frankie's driving the stick. We're going down there and it's foggy. And I know he's focused on the road. I can see it. And we're both tired, so I'm sure he's road zoning out. We're going around some of these little curves here, not big curves, but it's a foggy night. You can't really see too far in front of you. And I'm in the passenger seat, and I reach my hand behind his seat and around to the left side of his head. So not like I'm tickling him like this, but I'm reaching around to tickle him. And I said, "Man, this is one of those nights, like when you're driving down the road in the fog and you see some guy walking down the road with like an axe in his hand and a head in the other." And at that point, I, I tickle Frank's hair like this. And that fucking guy goes, "Jesus!" Swerves the wheel twice, almost goddamn flips us in the middle of the road. Oh, I almost killed this for a prank. I still laugh to this fucking day. And I'll tell you one thing, it woke us up. Like now we were up. We're on our way to the last casino and we're focused now. So we get to that last casino. God, it had to have been 1 a.m. when we sit down and not very many people there. I think there was like one or two blackjack tables open. And it was me, Frankie, and some drunk guy who kept wanting me to go out to his car and do shots with him. I'm like, it's too late for that, man. The bars, I don't want to drink. I want coffee. I want to gamble. I'm here to gamble. And we won, man. We started winning and winning good. And so finally, we're getting tired. The sun's starting to come up, and me and Frank, I mean, it was almost like we both looked at each other and like, let's go home. So we get in the car, we're driving home, and Frank and I used to play a game called Mech Warrior. And Mech Warrior is it's a video game, and it's very, you have to know numbers and put things in the right places in this game. And it doesn't matter. I look at Frank and I was like, "Do you have a good time?" And he's driving like this, and he looked over me, he goes, "What mech were you piloting?" To this day, whenever he zones out or I zone out, that's like the go-to. Hey, what mech were you piloting? Because we were just zonked out of our heads at that point. But it was probably, as far as I'm concerned, with my good friend Frank, it was probably one of the best casino trips we've ever taken. I mean, we went up, we started winning, we went to the next one. When we weren't winning, we went to the next one. And these are all an hour and a half and an hour and a half away from each other, I think, maybe more, maybe less. So these are long drives in between, and then the long drive home where I'm sitting in the passenger seat just forcing my eyes open, like what? Um, but you got to do those things with your boys, especially when it's something that I love, like the casino. Now, I had a winning nights like that, absolutely. But you ask anybody, most of the times that I went to the casino, I walked out with empty pockets. It was rare. There was some nights that I'd go up by myself, like back when I had my own apartment. I went up one night, I think I won $4,500. And I came home and I put it out on my coffee table and I'm just staring at it. Just, good nights like that, bad nights where you lose your rent money. Ask Frankie and me, we've been on our last, $100. Like, how are we going to make our rent? Let's go to the casino. Sometimes we came close, most times we didn't. And this is when that need to gamble really became a problem because now it wasn't entertainment, it was escapism. And we always used the context of like, hey, let's go to the casino, try to win some money for this or this or that. No, we were just trying to go and do something to get our minds off of how poor we were. And that's where the casinos really take over, right? You start to realize, shit, man, I'm poor. I need to go make money. So you go to the casino. No, that's not the way to do it. Uh, Casinos don't go out of business, man. There's a reason why. Um, so yeah, that's been kind of my history with racing. I've grown up in the racing lifestyle. I've grown up around the horses. I love betting the horses. Even to this day, I love the strategy. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like slot machines. They're fun, the lights, the noise, but I don't like a machine predetermining the outcome, if that makes sense. Like even blackjack, if I see an auto dealer, like a shuffle master or a machine on this thing that's dealing the cards, I don't like it. Now, not a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes I wonder. I've seen some videos where like a guy was playing baccarat and the total number on the table was 9 and it was a 4 and a 5. And on the board, it showed, because it shows the outcome. It showed that the number was 9, but it was a 7 and a 2. But that wasn't a 7 and a 2 on the board. So how did it know the outcome of the numbers, but happened to get the numbers wrong? Was it a glitch in the matrix or what? Things like this that I just don't like. I like single deck blackjack and double deck. I don't like six deck because there's just too many variables. Single deck, they shuffle after every hand. I feel like it's a sporting chance every time if you play those rules. And usually I do okay. I don't do great. I haven't played blackjack. I haven't gambled in a casino in a couple of years. We have one here, and I used to go, and I'd win and win and win and win, and then I'd lose, 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 win, win, lose, lose, back and forth. And then I'd play the free poker tournaments. It just gets old, doesn't it? Like going to the same place for the same entertainment, feeling the same way when you're done. It never became so exciting that I had to keep doing it now. Now I've got kids. I've got responsibilities. I've got a job that needs me there 24, not 20, but needs me to be ready when I'm ready. And I don't have time for that. So I don't gamble so much anymore, but I do play the horses. I love the horses. Now I'm not out there betting $50 on a horse, $100 on a horse. I bet 5, 10. If I'm feeling it, $20. I did bet, my big bets are usually on the derbies. So I bet $100 on the Kentucky Derby on I can never remember the name of the goddamn Sovereignty. And I said this horse is going to win, and it was 9-1. And I hit it at $100, so $900 plus my $100 back. So I made $1,000 off the Derby, and I love hits like that. But I do it now just more for keep my brain active. If I'm at work, I can put the races on my phone. I've got an app where I can watch it, and I'll put $2 on a horse, and for 30 minutes, I get to listen to the people talk about the horses, and then for 1 minute, watch the damn race. Sometimes I win, sometimes I don't, but I'm not like shit, you know, because I'm not betting big. I do it more just to pass the time. But now with technology, we got VR. And man, there is a game out there that I've been playing. I don't think I can say the name. I don't want to, I'm not sponsored by them. They're not affiliated with the show, but it's a VR casino. It's got craps, roulette, poker, blackjack, all of it. A couple other crazy games, baccarat now. Uh, and you'll see me in there. I'll play poker for hours, but I'm not gambling. It's not. I don't use real money. You can buy fake chips with real money, but I don't need to do that. There's so many kids in these rooms, like young kids, and it's like 18 plus. And these guys are 12, throwing around the N word and slurs and this and that. And it's like, I really wish you guys would moderate this more. But again, I don't like loud people in casinos. I just don't. I don't like loud people in general. I think the louder you are, the more starving for attention you are, and the less likely it is that you have actually something real to say to me. I don't know. That's just, you know, the way I've been raised, I guess. That's how it was whenever somebody was loud in the family. Daddy would be like, look over at him, and I just kind of gained a disdain for that too. So VR, it's just filled with kids, filled with trash. So I turn all that off and I have a great time. What I'll do is I'll put my VR on, I'll turn the volume all the way down, I'll put in my headphones, I'll go to YouTube, put on a music playlist, I'll just play poker all night. And again, it's just entertainment. I'm not gambling, really, I guess is the way to say it. It's a game. But my at this point in my life, my concern with gambling has been my son. And I don't mean it like that. Like he doesn't have to go to Gamblers Anonymous. He doesn't have to go, check into a program or anything. He's freaking 12. But he watches me watch the horses and he gets excited and he started to ask me things, so I explain it. Problem is the last time he came over, he's like, "Can I pick a horse?" And yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm sitting here. It's gonna be a $2 bet. I give a shit, right? Come on. It's a bonding for me and my son. He's right here with me in the studio. So he pick a horse. And the thing won. That's not my point. He pick a horse, and when I looked over at him, when he's looking at it, I could see the same wheels turning in his head that were turning in my head when I was at the racetrack, when after I learned how to read the racing forms and do all that stuff. So I kind of got that look in my eye where I'm like, oh, am I creating another monster, another me? And I had strict parents. I wasn't allowed to go ask them for money. I mean, I could have, I wouldn't. I never asked them for a thing. I made that a point in my life. I'm going to be an independent man. But there were reasons that I came to that conclusion in life, reasons that I haven't had to make my son realize. So is he going to get into the trap where, oh, I bet $2. What happens if I bet five? If I bet 20, if I bet 100, bet 1,000, I don't know. And then he ends up in the same pool of losing degenerate flunkies that you see in the casinos day in and day out, scrambling for another chip, scrambling for one more win. I don't want that for him. So what do? Do I do I keep it to myself? Do I only play the horses when they're not around? I mean, I've already explained to him that hey, I lose a lot. I've shown him my losses. And he's like, "Oh." So that made me happy. And he's a very responsible kid with money. He saves money, so I don't know. But the time he did pick a horse, he gave me $2 of his own money. He's like, "I want to bet on that horse." And it was some outrageous odds. And he won. And I gave him his money. Like, you won this. Here you go. There's your cash. Some nights when I'm laying in bed just thinking about the day or thinking about my kids or whatever, there are points in my life where I wonder, was that the right thing to do? Should I have shown him that there's financial reward for gambling and put that positive spin on it? Because everybody can tell you how great heroin is or tell you how bad heroin is for you, but if you try it, it might be the greatest thing in your life. Do you know what I mean? So I could tell him all day long the dangers of gambling and don't do this and don't do that, and it's could be in one ear and out the other. What do I know? Point of the fact is that my whole life has felt like a gamble. Should I do this? Should I do that? What happens if I do this? And I treat a lot of my life, and I shouldn't, but I seem to treat a lot of my life like a poker hand or a blackjack hand. What's the rule for this? What's the book say about the strategy? Not coming up with my own strategies to win, but following the herd. So it's tough to go through things like living a life in now I haven't really talked too much about the bad sides of it because I haven't been kicked the shit out of in a back alley because I owe some bookie 100 grand. No, I've always been in control of that, but that's me. There's a lot of people that don't get lucky and have that self-control, and I worry about them. I worry about my son, and I worry about all my friends that like to do this stuff. I got friends that go to the casino every weekend. I'm like, you're 21 now, yeah, and it's fun for you. But what happens if you hit it big and that bug gets planted in your head and you're doing this now for the rest of your life and you're just sucking money away? I don't know, man. Gambling is great. It's a lot of fun if you can do it responsibly. Most people don't. That's what I've got to say. So that's my whole story. That's the Anson in the Morning story on me gambling. Started in around the fourth grade, and here I am, 48 years old. I placed my last bet on a horse yesterday. I got some stuff done around the house that I wanted to do. I sat down. I'm like, I'm going to play a video game. I'm going through my Steam catalog, and I'm like, eh, eh. Ooh, let's play the horses. So I made a couple of bets, $2 here, two. So I think I bet like $4, $2 here, $2 there. One of them was on an 8-1, so I won $16. And I was like, I looked at the next race. There was nothing I liked. I left. So I hope that guys, if you're in the audience, if you're listening to Anson in the Morning, uh, and you do have the gambling problem, I don't have the number. Call here for a gambling addiction. But remember that all you're doing is making these casinos rich. And I know I sound bitter, like I've lost my whole house or something on it. I haven't. It was just introspection on the show because gambling's been such a big part of my life. I wanted to tell you all about it. But in the end, I thought I'd at least give you guys the warning. So, all disclaimers aside, there we go. This is Anson in the Morning. But before we go, I've got about, it doesn't matter how much time I have left. It's my damn show. Um, I have to give an in memoriam, a shout out to a dear friend who I found out passed away a year ago and I didn't know. I don't use Facebook a lot. It's not something that I'm big on. I'll go and I'll read it just to scroll, but I don't post. I don't answer all the messages that come down the pike. And a lot of people I don't know. I'll get friend requests from somebody that I heard of 10 years ago. I'm like, I don't know this person, whatever. Well, I was checking through some of those and I looked at one and it was a message saying that my good friend Julius Rucker died about a year ago. Julius, when I owned my restaurant, Julius was my right-hand guy. He was the best pizza chef I've ever met. He was a patient teacher. He was an amazing friend, and he was a monster among men. He was a 6 foot something taller than me. I looked up to him. Listen, you can't do this. you know, um, Black guy. He had the dreads, wore the hat, had the thing in the lip, all the tattoos. Biggest guy you'll ever meet, and the softest heart, and the best pizza hands I've ever known. Um, we became super good friends, working together side by side. Uh, we'd see each other in the street after, and he'd give me the big old bear. He'd run up to me, Anson, oh, Julius, I love you too, buddy. Just one of those guys. So when I found out he passed, it broke my heart, and I'm not gonna dwell on it, but I dedicate this episode of Anson in the Morning to my good friend Julius. Salute, buddy. I love you. All right. So we're at the end of the show. We've gone through my whole gambling career. Next episode, we're going to get into, I don't know what we're going to get into. Maybe we're going to get into my love of UFOs. How about we do that? We're going to start talking about some supernatural stuff. And I promise not all my shows are going to be like that, but I've had things happen in my life that have led me to an atheist like me to believe that maybe there is an afterlife. So I think the next show we're going to do is going to be focused on that. Now we're going to do that one next Monday. I'm going to take the rest of the week off because this is my last week at my job and I'd like to really focus on those last 3 days and then take the weekend, Saturday, Sunday for myself. And I'll come back Monday morning with the brand new Anson in the Morning. So like, follow, subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, bye, bye, bye. Easy for you to say. Um, Another thing, guys, the comments mean a lot. Go down, put a comment. This guy's a schmuck. Great. This guy had a great show. Even better. Anything you guys do that can help the algorithm, help this show get off the ground. This is my second episode, and I'd really like to deliver for you guys. So until next week, guys, I love you. This has been Anson in the Morning, and I'll see you next time. Is this how this went? I always have problems with this damn thing. Yes.